Did you ever hear about what Ben Franklin was? Okay, that's a different story. But
what did he do?
You never heard that, like, what he was found in? They found in his house?
No.
Like tons of bodies, bro.
What?
Ben Franklin, they found tons of bodies in his...
Ben Franklin was a serial killer?
No, he was like doing some weird shit, dude. Bodies.
Like
stuff.
experimenting with bodies?
Yeah.
Is this real?
Everything I say.
Was Ben Franklin's basement filled with skeletons? Repairs on Franklin's old London house turned up 1,200 pieces of bone from at least 15 people. Holy shit. For nearly 2 decades. By the way, this is from the Smithsonian. This is not some wacky conspiracy
This ain't
site.
samtripoli.com.
Yeah. For nearly 2 decades leading up to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Benjamin Franklin lived in London in a house on 36 Craven Street. In 1776, Franklin left his English home to come back to America. More than 200 years later, 15 bodies were found in the basement, buried in a secret windowless room beneath the garden. In 1998, conservationists were doing repairs on 36 Craven, looking to turn Franklin's old haunt into a museum. From a 1 meter wide, 1 meter deep pit, over 1,200 pieces of bone were retrieved. Remnants of more than a dozen bodies, said Benjamin Franklin's house. 6 were children. Forensic investigations showed that the bones dated to Franklin's day. Holy shit.
Welcome back, everyone. I am here again to look at some creepy mystery conspiracy theories that probably won't end up being true, but possibly might. So let's get started with this first lot on Joe Rogan. Benjamin Franklin did live there for about 16 years. I'm going to post a little article at the top which I found. The landlady had a son-in-law that ran a school for autonomy. And it stands to reason that the bodies and the remains have come from him. Now, I think grave robbing was quite prevalent back in those times, and as bad as that sounds, physicians that wanted to learn stuff about autonomy had to get bodies from somewhere to do it, and that's where they got it from. So, no, it wasn't Benjamin Franklin, although you could speculate that maybe, being a scientist, he had dabbled slightly in using the bodies that were there, let's say. But apart from that, no. It's just a case of being guilty by association, I think.
There's a location in the Western Sahara Desert of Mauritania called the Richat Structure. It's also commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara. And what's so spectacular about this is that it just so happens to match what Plato had described as the lost ancient city of Atlantis. Plato had described Atlantis as made up of concentric circles, 3 of water, 2 of land, which matches the Richat Structure. It also is said to have an opening to the sea at the south, and if you look at it from satellite imagery, you can clearly see that water had ran through it. And what people don't realize is that Sahara Africa, up until about 4,500 to 5,000 years ago, was totally green. It was tropical. It had one of the largest networks of rivers ever known to exist. It was said to have mountains to the north, and you just so happen to have mountains called the Atlas mountain chain, but it goes further than that. It turns out that the Sahara Desert is one of the least studied places on Earth.
There's so much that points to that possibly being Atlantis.
I don't know this guy's name, but he's already contradicted himself with the artist's impression of the Richat Structure. He says Plato describes it as 3 of water and 2 of land, and then shows a picture of 4 of water and 4 of land. If you count the one in the middle, that is. Now, Joe Rogan's had a guy on his show called Randall Colson quite a few times now, and he's completely against the theory that the Richat Structure is Atlantis. I would rather go with him than this guy. So moving on.
As a child, what was so present with boys' toys? Remember everybody with the Tonka trucks?
Yeah.
Now, I have a theory. Check this out, bro. I have a theory. The people in charge, fam, they know once kids start seeing other jobs that appeal to them more, they're gonna stop wanting to do the trades jobs and the blue-collar jobs because it's not as, I guess, like enticing. At a young age, they start brainwashing us. That's why we see Tonka trucks, feel me? The construction hats and shit. Remember that show Mighty Machines? It's all about that, and it's on the kids' channel, fam. What else? Bob the Muffin Builder, bro.
Yeah.
The same shit. Mario was a what?
Plumber. What the?
Check this out, fam. The one TV show that's still popping with children today is Paw Patrol, bro. Paw Patrol. Check this out. every single character in Paw Patrol is a what? A
worker?
blue collar worker. You have Chase, who's a police officer. You have Marshall, who's a fireman. You have Sky, who's a pilot.
Yeah.
The construction bulldog guy, bro.
So I understand where he's coming from, but I can't imagine children sitting down and watching a stockbroker, a lawyer, an office worker, or an accountant. I just don't imagine children would either A, get it, or B, enjoy it, really. Let's have a look at the next.
Hopefully I'm about to pay for my groceries midnight.
And she goes like this, and she goes over the scanner. She goes, and it goes beep bing.
I can do that too.
No, but it had the hand. Also in the book of Revelation said something about how you should never sell your body to do that stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
He forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name.
once you do that, you're actually like
Oh,
super
that's
bad.
that's the mark of the beast, right?
The mark of the beast.
That's
Yeah,
what they say,
the mark
yeah,
of the
yeah.
beast. So it's like
As I've made reference in a previous video, I'm well into biblical prophecy, and I'm not entirely sure the mark of the beast is going to be a bit of technology. I think it might be a symbol of some sort brought on by another religion, but I'm not going to get too deep into that. So let's have a look at the next video.
I think something happened to Melanie Martinez. This is like the explanation in her voice of why she wears the mask and the costume and stuff. And the voice is just so animatronic AI sounding, in my opinion.
I've been drawing and painting this character for a while now, and one day I had a thought that it would be really fun to fully commit to the character. I know a lot of people miss seeing my face, but it's been the most fun playing this character because I get to show the concept of immortality. Crybaby's soul moving through a different vessel, how she would look in the afterlife.
And I would never come for this girl. I really like Melanie Martinez, but has anyone seen her out of this look recently? Like, since her new Portals album came out, I have not seen a photo of her face that's like not being covered by the monster makeup. And there was a photo of her at the airport. I keep seeing this conspiracy theory and keep seeing people be like, there's a photo of her at the airport, but her face is covered by a bunny mask at the airport. And I understand that the whole monster look thing is just like a cool thing that she's playing with for art, but no one has seen her face since Portals came out. I just find that really sus, and I have so much more to add to this. Part 2 is already up, and if you like my content, make sure you interact. It really helps.
I don't even know who this person is, not gonna lie. It looks like she's just having a bit of fun, although it does look very, very, very creepy. I'm not sure I'd want to go to one of them concerts at all. Let's have a look what else we got.
What if I told you that escalators do not exist and that they are actually an illusion that our brains force us to accept? You'd call me crazy, right?
Oh, my goodness me. Moving on.
Look at this. There are two companies that own everything around you. Banking industry, financial institutions, vehicle industry, oil industry, airline, hospitality, food, retail, news and media industry, tech. And the worst ones yet, the biggest health organizations and the biggest pharmaceutical companies. There are two companies that own the biggest in these industries, and they are called Vanguard and BlackRock. Apple's biggest shareholders, Vanguard and BlackRock. Tesla, Vanguard and BlackRock. Microsoft, Vanguard and BlackRock. Facebook, Vanguard and BlackRock. They have so much power, they can make decisions in all these companies. They own more than 85% of companies in S&P 500. 3 years ago, COVID hit. PCR testing kits were required. Tib Mobile, a company that manufactured and sold billions of PCR testing kits that you paid for. You know, the thing that goes up your nostril. It is owned by a company called Roche Holding AG. And guess who owns Roche Holding? Vanguard. After many positive cases, we all had to get Pfizer shots. And guess who owns Pfizer? Vanguard and BlackRock. It is almost like this was a business plan. Everything around you is controlled by Vanguard and BlackRock. Look around, even the casualties. I think I should stop here. You do the rest.
There was definitely something suspicious about what happened to us in 2020, if you know what I mean. This sounds like a massive conflict of interest when it comes to, well, I can't really say, can I, without getting demonetised or blocked, but we all know what I'm on about. Something definitely didn't seem right there. The fact that two companies have the monopoly of a lot of different businesses is ringing alarm bells, to be honest. Unless that's dinner time. Is that dinner time? Hello? Is it dinner time? Oh, it's the alarm bells in my head. Let's see what else we can find.
A lot of Christians will not listen to Taylor Swift anymore. They believe she's crossed a line, she's doing way too much demonic shit. There's a really interesting new crazy conspiracy theory about one of her songs in particular. Craziest conspiracy theory ever about Taylor Swift is that she is the rejuvenated clone of the high priestess of the Church of Satan, Zena Lovett. Their lips, nose, eyes look identical. They both happen to have the same fixation of snakes and snake handling. And it's insane because they're both renowned singer-songwriters. Like, that's their main job. Each of them, they have too much in common. Now, in 2023, there's definitely been an uptick in the amount of demonic symbolism in Taylor Swift's music videos and songs. This amazing Christian TikToker, Karu, got millions of likes for saying,
"Here's why I don't listen to Taylor Swift anymore as a Christian."
His theory that he talks about specifically is about the Willow music video, where there's this string attached to her piano, and anytime someone hears her play music, they get entranced and obsessed with her. They want to be by her. And his whole point was that people get so obsessed with Taylor to the point where they're almost worshiping her like she has their soul or something. In the video, she's on her ritualistic witch ceremony shit. He thinks all those oars represent people's souls who are obsessed with Taylor. And she follows that string right back to her piano because that's what gets people to be obsessed with her. That's where her power lies. This makes sense because Willow is very demonic coded on tour. Taylor has a whole EP for this song called The Witch Collection with songs like Dancing Witch version, Lonely Witch version, Moonlit Witch version. She's admitting she's a witch.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's something really demonic going on in the music industry right now. You only have to open your eyes and have a look how much Satan worship is going on. They want mass crowds to turn up to these concerts and then they perform rituals on stage. I mean, open your eyes, people, it's pretty obvious. Let's have a look at what other gems we can pull out the bag.
3 extremely dark conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. Part 3. Number 3. Nuclear tests in French Polynesia. France conducted destructive nuclear tests in French Polynesia. The consequences are terrifying. Deadly radiation-related diseases and cancers are ravaging the local population, sacrificed in the name of France's nuclear ambition. Number 2. In the 90s, it was discovered that the Vatican was involved in a global scandal. People came forward with accusations of perpetrated by priests, but were often sought to be discredited. The Vatican concealed these crimes. Scandals involving members of the Catholic Church's clergy have been documented in numerous countries around the world. Number 1. Operation Paperclip. After World War II, the United States initiated Operation Paperclip. They recruited more than 1,500 German scientists, a large portion of whom were former Nazis, to boost their technological advancement. These scientists were exempted from prosecution for their involvement in war crimes committed during World War II.
Operation Paperclip, eh? Maybe we'll have to save that for another time, but without those Nazis, you wouldn't have NASA, and without NASA, you wouldn't have landed on the moon. Or did we? That's for another day.
This movie is actually banned in 20-something countries.
Why?
The reason it was banned, because the director of the movie, he was arrested because they weren't sure if the body in the movie was a real person or not being killed. So it's about these 4 scientists. They're making a documentary about this tribe. I think it's like somewhere in the islands, right? They are cannibals. They pretty much just bring their cameras and kind of like interfere with their natural life. So they're cannibals. But what ends up happening though, they kind of plant things to make their documentary more interesting. Okay. So they would actually mess up and mess with their shit to make them angry or make them violent, and then get like footage of things. I'm pretty sure one person is actually killed, and it's real footage of a person being killed. There's a monkey that the head, feel me?
They showed this.
Real animal. The reason it's banned is because this is not even a game.
So this is another load of cack. The director was taken to court because they suspected him of producing a snuff film, but the director produced the actors and the allegations were dropped, and now it's not banned. The people making these TikToks must be doing some sort of research and actually knowing that this isn't true, and then making the video anyway just to get views. Never mind, let's move on.
It's the giant steps in Peru. You have got to be kidding me. Probably already know that this isn't a giant staircase. There still seems to be some confusion on it, so let me just drive it into the ground one last time. This is Ollanta Tambo. It is an Incan terrace farm. Milo, it looks like stairs. All right, riddle me this. If this was a staircase built for giants, why is there a human-sized staircase in the middle of it? And another human-sized staircase on the side of it? No, maybe they had human pets, a little pet on a guy on a string. That really looks like a giant could live in it. Oh yeah, and this doorway too. It's like 5.5 feet tall. Let's use some context clues. What's that over there? Is that a terrace farm? Of course that's not a terrace farm. That was a staircase for baby giant. You ready for this? This is my favorite part. There is an entire valley right here. Where were they going? Why would you feel the need to build gigantic steps up this hill and into these tiny ass houses? Look at that. There's no stairs down the other side of the mountain. And this is what your giant stairs are made out of. Can you imagine a giant picking this up? Yes, we're gonna make a staircase so I can get over this hill. Giant conspiracy truly makes me believe that the human race is a lost cause.
So I just thought I'd throw this one in there so you can see the difference between someone talking shit and someone talking sense. Someone that's not been there to have a look and someone that has been there to have a look. I wonder who I believe.
This is crazy. Do you ever wonder why humans grow beards? We have the ability to grow beards, right?
Yeah.
And some people, they don't grow beard or facial hair at all. Asians, yeah, some Asians. And women specifically, they don't really grow facial hair, right?
Okay.
There's actually a scientific purpose for facial hair and beards in general. It's for hand-to-hand combat. Long time ago, all of the warriors would grow beards. So they did a scientific study. They simulated a bald face, a face with a little bit of stubble, and a face with a full-fledged beard. And they tested it, putting pressure the same amount that a punch could. They found out that the bald face, every single time they simulated the punch, it would break the jaw. When using an unshaven face with a full beard, it only broke 45% of the time. So the theory is, if you can grow a beard, you're probably have an ancestry of warriors or fighters. Look at women. Women don't need to fight because historically, it was usually the men that went into combat. If you don't grow facial hair, it might tell you a little bit about your ancestry.
I'm not so sure about this theory. I think it's more likely to be weather related. I'm covered in fur because I go out all year round and I don't wear clothes. Men used to typically go out all year round and hunt animals to get meat. Women used to typically look after the children and go out during the spring and summer times and autumn times foraging berries, but the weather was a lot better in those seasons. Men used to go out all year round. So less combat related and more weather related, I think.
You're not even ready to imagine the craziness we're in right now. Antarctica is the most mysterious continent in the world. A new theory is so crazy that it could completely change your perception of the Earth. According to this theory, Antarctica is not just a massive ice continent, but rather an enormous ice wall that surrounds all the continents. In 1992, a new world map was created, the Gleason map, which shows Antarctica encircling all our continents. This theory goes even further. Some believe that if we manage to cross this wall, we will encounter numerous other continents deliberately hidden from us by governments.
Come on now, enough's enough with this shit. There is not a giant ice wall surrounding us. It's funny how this theory started up after Game of Thrones. Coincidence? I think not. Moving on.
If you're a conspiracy theorist, this is the real conspiracy. The conspiracy is have as many social problems as possible that people get distracted by, that people concentrate on, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's masks, vaccines, pride, trans movement, sponsor drag shows for kids if you want people to get mad and want people to get distracted.
Right.
Sponsor
Let them
that.
focus on that.
Get people to think that it's a good idea to do that and watch the outrage. You know, get people to think that the oceans are going to be boiling in 5 years. You know, Get people to think that if we don't change it, like that was one of the things that Greta Thunberg said 5 years ago, that we'll all be dead.
In 5 years?
Well, it's 5 years later, and we're not all dead. So you definitely were wrong, and you're 16. So why are they flying you out to Ukraine? Like, what is going on? So there's so many of these fucking social distractions that are in our face all day long about everything. And I feel like sometimes that's what I feel like about Supreme Court rulings. We're going to take away Roe v. Wade. And everybody's like, what the fuck? What? What? And that's another one. And then that one becomes a thing that people identify as the most important problem that they have to solve. And while all this is going on, money's getting moved around, decisions are getting made. And it's a brilliant cover for wild shit.
Yeah, because all you have to do ever really is follow the money on anything.
Yeah.
And you see what's actually happening, and everything else is a distraction to that.
This fucking hit me, because I'd be looking at Greta Thunberg, and I'm like, why the fuck are we listening to a fucking kid about anything? Right? It drove me crazy. And then I go, holy fuck, they're making kids make all the points, because you can't tell kids to shut the fuck up or you're an asshole. If you're the adult telling a little girl to shut the fuck up, you don't know anything about the polar ice caps, you're an asshole. So if you just get kids to make all your points for you, the right just gotta go, well, it's good that kids are involved in the political process.
I definitely believe this. It's a case of the Roman circus. This is where the Caesar would provide distractions like blood sports, gladiators, and free food. What happened in 2020 was similar to that. So we had something going on, and the government was essentially giving us free food to look the other way. They were giving us monetary handouts so we wouldn't complain so much. What was going on, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think it was exactly what they were telling us. I think they used the time to prepare for something else and to test what our reaction would be to a situation like that. I think it was taken advantage of in a big way. Now, I added that video on to the end because that comedian, he hits a nail on the head. What are we doing? Listening to what was a 16-year-old girl when she should have been at school? What does she know? She doesn't have any life experiences whatsoever, and the data she used wasn't true. It was a guesstimate at best, and it turns out this is cycles that the planet goes through anyway. Of course, humans are adding to the problem, but not on the level that Greta Thunberg was making out. Now she's even going down the route of trying to insert herself into politics, and I think there was one guy that stood up to her at her last rally. I'll see if I can find a little video because it's quite funny. But he had basically had enough. He was there for a climate protest and she was talking about Israel and Palestine. Talking about dipping your fingers in many different pies. Come on, stick to one thing and focus on it. Of course, I think she's probably going to have to move on to something else like politics because the climate change hasn't happened. But I also think the upcoming events on Earth and the changes that we will see are going to be blamed on climate change, as I previously said. Anyway, rant over. Here's that video.
We have not been listening. The people in power have not been listening.
I have come here for a climate demonstration, not a political view. This is climate demonstration.
Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. No climate justice on occupied land. No climate justice on occupied land.
This guy absolutely right to do that. They aren't there for a political view on Palestine and Israel. This is a case of already having an audience and then trying to convert that audience to believe in something else completely different. And of course, because they already love Greta and they're invested in her, they're going to follow her. But it's such a crafty tactic. You believe in this opinion of mine, so now I'm going to force you to believe in this other opinion of mine, otherwise you can get out of my group. That's what's going on there. And she showed her true motives there by speaking into the microphone, telling him to calm down. If you really wanted him to calm down, you wouldn't be saying it through a microphone for all of your fans to hear. You would do it one-on-one. But that's not what she's doing. She's trying to get the support of her fans. The climate change people have no answers in relation to actually making things better. Their suggestions are to close power plants. Well, then millions of people will die. It's the same people that keep telling us to stop using plastic. And then what? What's the replacement for plastic? How do you make your phones? How do you make your iPads? There are parts in cars that you will never be able to make with anything else. It's so easy for somebody to say, stop doing something, and then offer no alternative. Coming up with the alternative is what the people are trying to do behind the scenes of all of this. The people that are using their time to concentrate on alternative fuels. These people just waste their time doing this and sitting in front of traffic because they're moaning about oil. Get a grip. Grow up. Not to mention there's something creepy about following around a little girl. Honestly.
You know that famous story? No. Who knows if it's true? It's a legend. But the legend is that Jackie Gleason and Nixon were drinking, and that Nixon said, "You want to see some fucking aliens?" And they get on Air Force One, and they fly to some Air Force base, and they go to a place where they have a crashed UFO, and they have biological beings that are in freezers. And Jackie Gleason sees this. And Jackie Gleason, after that, has a house built in upstate New York that looks like a UFO. He became obsessed with UFOs afterward. There was a house, it was actually for sale at one point in time. If there is some sort of advanced propulsion system, some revolutionary way of moving through space and time that the US government has developed, you know, in some Black Ops program, that seems very likely impossible. That seems more likely than aliens visiting us. And the possibility of alien life in the universe, although we've never experienced it, seems rational. It seems very rational.
I don't believe it's aliens turning up for 1 minute, and if you listen to Jack Valet, he even said if it turns out to be aliens, he would be highly disappointed. He was actually hinting to it being demonic, so there you go. I think it makes total sense that it's demonic rather than it's aliens because they're so deceptive. And if you look at UFO sightings throughout history, their technology seems to be just a little bit more advanced than what ours is. There were originally reports of airships going around before we even had airships. And then they just happened to end up looking like flying saucers, exactly the same as what was depicted in the movies. And now you have things like the Tic Tac UFOs, which look even more advanced. Then when you go down the route of looking into alien abductions, it turns out when people shout the name of Jesus Christ, the abduction stops. Whatever that person is experiencing comes to a very quick end. Now, if they were aliens, that wouldn't make any sense. But if they were demons, it would make sense. But that's another rabbit hole to go down. So let's move on.
What's your favorite?
Conspiracy theory? I mean, the favorite's always the war ones, because it's just so crazy that they'll just lie to get us into wars. And that it's always been a thing. You know, Hitler burned the Reichstag, and Nero burned Rome, and you know, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, and there were the Operation Northwoods thing that they planned that was signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff and vetoed by Kennedy, where they're going to arm Cuban friendlies and have them attack Guantanamo Bay and blow up a jetliner and blame it on Cuba. They were going to do some wild shit to try to get us to go to war with Cuba. Those are the most fascinating to me because there are a bunch of people at high-level positions in the government that are conspiring to get us to go to war. And this is what Eisenhower warned us about at the end of his presidency. He warned about the military-industrial complex. It was a fascinating speech. And if you think about it now, it's like, God damn, was he right? That, to me, is the most fascinating because it seems like there's just this machine that's always been running society.
Governments always have and always will lie and fabricate evidence to get our young people, usually males, to go and fight the wars for them. What we should do is bring back the time when the king led the charge. If our presidents and prime ministers and dictators want to go to war with each other, they can ride into battle first, and we'll see how many wars we have then, because I can guarantee you it's none. It's easy to send other people to fight your battle. It's not so easy to fight it yourself. Maybe we should take a vote on this next time, see what happens.
Are you aware of the controversy surrounding the male Mona Lisa? The head of Saudi Arabia bought it for $450 million. The crazy thing is someone bought it at one point in time in the past for $1,500. And they didn't realize that it may or may not be, because this is where it gets controversial, may or may not be the work of Leonardo da Vinci. Or it might be partly by da Vinci. And so they wanted him to donate it to the Louvre in Paris.
Yeah.
But they were like, we're not going to put it next to the Mona Lisa. He wanted it to be next to the Mona Lisa as the male Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa, the male Mona Lisa. And they're like, They're like, we're not going to give this the red stamp. We don't even know if this is real. And now it's currently on his yacht. So this $450 million painting is on his yacht. And so art fanatics are like, you can't have a painting on a yacht.
Ever heard about the Mona Lisa theory?
I feel like I've heard theories, but tell me.
There's a theory that the Mona Lisa isn't actually a painting of a woman. It's a painting of a man.
Oh, I've heard that.
It's a painting of Leonardo da Vinci's friend. and supposed lover.
But he kept it a secret.
He kept it a secret. Yeah. They did like infrared scans of Leonardo's work painting his friend Salai, right?
Okay.
That's his friend supposedly.
So they look like twins basically, but one's a girl, one's a boy.
Salai would always dress as a woman, like for fun.
For fun.
For fun, he would dress as a woman. So supposedly, those paintings of Salai before, they look very similar to the Mona Lisa. I'll put it up both.
I would say, like, as someone who likes to do art, that's definitely a believable theory.
Right?
Because, like, when I, like, I'm exposing myself now.
Go.
Whenever I had, like, a crush or something, like, my pieces, whether it was on purpose or not on purpose, would look somewhat like my crush. Or, like, I'd use, like, certain birthmarks or, like, beauty spots.
I know the Saudi royalty have an unfathomable amount of money, but I cannot see them wasting 450 million on something that was fake. They must have had it authenticated at some point. Either way, putting it on a yacht is a bit of a silly move because of the salt in the sea air. That second video looks bonkers though. It's so like the lady depicted in the Mona Lisa, it's scary. So it looks like it probably was his male friend. Moving on. I did think this was possibly a scene from a movie, but I did find a video from 2021 that just says Masonic ritual dance, and it's clearly got the Masonic signs up in the background. But I guess if you put Illuminati in the title, you'll probably get more hits. What else can we find?
Look, so this is the crazy thing. You want to get really nuts?
Yes.
It's time to leave.
Time to leave what?
This planet. We started a clock around 1953, which is when we had the first hydrogen bomb. We don't know how much time we have left, probably a few hundred years tops, because sooner or later you're going to have Putin-like, Trump-like people. It's nice if Elon thinks we can go to Mars. Maybe that will allow a small number of us to diversify in case we do something really dumb to the planet. But if human beings are to continue, and we are to continue evolving, we need to spread out.
Cool. Where can I sign up? Let's all go to a planet that has an average temperature of minus 60 degrees Celsius, which is minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit, has less than 1% the air pressure of Earth, less than 40% the gravity of Earth, like that's not going to fuck your body up. It has no vegetation, no life, barely any water, and what's even more alarming is it has zero protection from ultraviolet radiation. So we're all going to be screwed. I think I'll take my chances here on Earth.
You know what the darkest conspiracy theory about aliens is?
I don't know if I'm ready for it.
That Earth is essentially a farm, and human beings are the vessels that contain souls, and they want us because this is how they create souls. And so they're farming us. They've created us. So we started off as primates, and through some sort of genetic intervention, I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying that this is like top of the food chain, put your tinfoil hat on super tight, that they farm us. And that the whole reason why human beings are involved in this conflict, constant conflict, it's all of it is to increase our competition with each other, increase our ability to control resources, which will increase our technology, which will ultimately lead to us creating this being that we're going to create, this artificially intelligent super god.
That one sounds like the Matrix meets the Bible to me. It's pretty out there.
What about this? What if every time you went to sleep and you woke up, you passed into a nearby and very similar universe, but not quite the same? And depending upon your choices and how you live your life, it's how you wake up and what new one you pop into on the other side. And everyone's just a little bit different. The whole world changes just a little bit each time you make a decision, one way or another. Everything changes when you wake up. You think the world is static, because it is when you're awake. You have no fucking idea what's happening while you're asleep. And when you wake up again, you have this foggy recollection of the past. And that's what you're going by. You're going by every morning waking up with a foggy recollection of the past. That's what you're doing. And you're assuming that nothing's changed and everything's static, and while you were asleep for 8 hours, nothing weird happened. You know what the fuck you're talking about. You have no idea. You're dreaming. You're having crazy fantasies and shit. Weird stuff is happening. You're fucking mermaids. You're flying through the air on a helicopter. You know, weird things happen when you're dreaming. What is all that about? Yeah. We don't even know. We have no idea what that is. That soup of possibilities that's fucking swirling around in between your ears while you're snoring up a storm, and then boom, you wake up. Are you sure those memories are real? Are you sure that this isn't a whole completely new universe you're living in today?
Or assimilation.
Or simulation.
Spoken like a true pothead. Sometimes it's better to just keep these ideas to yourself. On that note, that's me done for another video. Don't miss the bloopers at the end. There's been so many today, I thought I might as well add them on because they're funny as fuck. If you like what you've seen, smash the like button. Hit me up in the comments, I'll probably reply. Got nothing better to do. If you fancy boosting the channel, then you could always subscribe. Other than that, I'm going to go and have a shit in the field, annoy the farmer, go and savage some hens, and try not to get shot in the process. I'll see you in a bit. It's so easy for somebody to say, blah. It's so easy for somebody to say. It's so easy for somebody to say, oh my goodness, blah. It's so easy for somebody to say, stop doing this thing, bollocks, and offer no replacement, alternative. Spoken like a pure fuck. There. Sometimes it's better to keep these ideas to yourself. Oh my god, English is my first language as well. Actually, it's my only language. If you fancy getting the subscribers up, if you fancy getting the subscriber numbers up, If you fancy getting the subscriber numbers up, I'd learn to speak. Anyone would think I was raised in a fucking barn. We can do this. Come on now, everybody, we can do this. Speak English. You twat. Come on. Why are you twitching? Something like that. Let's go.